Chris Aceto with John Hansen at the 2016 Nationals in Miami Beach, Florida. We just let out, and the men's classic bodybuilding. What an interesting class. Actually, I made a mistake already. It's not classic bodybuilding. It's the men's classic division, which is different than bodybuilding.
Classic physique.
Classic physique.
All right.
Thank you, John. You know why it's a tongue twister? Because what we're seeing here is a crossover of a lot of just bodybuilders coming into the physique division, which is different than, imagine this, second place at the Olympia, Arash, third place at the Olympia, Sadiq. Those are not bodybuilders, those are the guys, right, men's board shorts, who transitioned their truly classic lines into their division. So now we get the clash, or the oddness, which is becoming difficult to judge.
Bodybuilders coming down, and we've got men's physique guys going to classic physique.
Clash of the civilizations. So it's a weird thing that's going on in terms of, like, at least for me, how do you judge it? I see a lot of guys where, like, I'm like, yeah, this guy's a good bodybuilder, but he's not classic in any way. What's classic to you, John Hansen? You know, we know you're over 25, and I'm 32, so no. So, you know, we've been around since physiques were all classic. You didn't have to call them classic. Lee Haney had a classic physique. You know, Muhammad Makawi had a classic physique. You had all these great guys, and now, you know, it's something different. What's classic for you?
Before the bodybuilders started getting really big, the judges used to take that into consideration. Symmetry, proportion. That's why guys like Samir, Muhammad Makawi would win pro shows, you know. And Frank Zane, of course, and then Bob Paris, and then they were taking that into consideration. That's why Samir could beat Bertil Fox at the '83 Olympia, you know.
Great point.
Yeah. But
and then it transitioned into, like, striated glutes and
it's over size.
And size.
Gigantic size.
I think, yeah.
And now a guy who's not as big, who has that great symmetry, cannot place high in bodybuilding. So now they had to create another division. So I think that's what classic physique is all about.
Okay. So the dilemma becomes who wins, right?
Right.
So let's start with who wins with three divisions today.
A, B, C.
A, B, and C. It's interesting to see classic poses, right?
Yeah.
Because you have to have the flow, symmetry, and balance, like we talked about.
And I noticed with this division, the guys are making an effort to do those classic type of poses. So you can see the Frank Zane poses and the Bob Paris poses in their posing routine. They don't always hit it right, but, you know, they're on their way. You know, they're trying. And
then the Class B division was won by George
Peterson.
George Peterson. What do you think of George?
Outstanding. Fantastic. And that was a very tough class.
Very tough.
I mean, they've only had 3 classes in this, and this is the first nationals that they had.
And they were stacked. Like, how many guys were in
like 40 in each class.
Easy.
So George,
and all of them good.
George came from bodybuilding. I just talked to him in the lobby, and guess how much he weighed?
He looked like he was 220 because he came from bodybuilding. He looks like a bodybuilder.
177.
It's freaky.
Yeah.
Freaky.
This guy had a back like Lee Haney.
Yeah.
Incredibly
Paper thin skin.
Yeah.
Paper thin skin.
Paper thin skin.
Detail everywhere.
Yeah. A lot of these guys were off, but the winners were incredible.
So George Peterson comes out, deservedly so, I thought, as the overall winner. But he was pushed to the limit by a Rory Liedermeyer, who people have no idea. You can Google him. And you can Google John's age, but not mine.
It's not on the internet.
You can. He looked like Rory Liedermeyer. What was his name?
Alexander Fong.
What was unique about him? Because the minute this guy came out, I was like, wow. It's like it's reminiscent of, like, when Alenda Murray came out when she won the North Americas. I was there, and I was like, wow, that is what Miss Olympia has to be. Pop, 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 pop.
Yeah, I don't know how old he was. He looked like a young kid, but he had round muscle bellies.
Young kid.
And really good shape, really good symmetry. Did the vacuum pose. Did a lot of those classic poses.
Tons of classic
Looked like he was having a good time up there. You know. So
put a little male model spin on it too. Little.
Had the longer hair.
A little artsy. Probably plays a guitar and reads poetry.
Right. So I think this kid's got a good future.
Yeah.
You know? He wasn't dialed in. He wasn't near where, like, George Peterson.
Yes.
George Peterson was dialed in.
Yeah. So he gave up a little condition. So look how dangerous he could be.
I think. Second place,
I think he's got a tremendous career in this division as well as George. But I think this guy, somehow that weird hair, it's just a throwback to, like, you know what I mean, to the I don't know 70s.
Comes more dialed in. He's going to really.
Yeah, he probably drives a Harley Davidson too, I bet. So, classic is great. Then we moved on to the men's bodybuilding. In the lightweight class, it was won by Jose Raymond. No, by someone Jose Raymond trains.
The bantamweight was.
The bantamweight. Sorry, bantams.
Kenny
Holy smokes.
Kenny Ishikawa.
Kenny Ishikawa. What'd you like of him? Peeled?
Yeah, he's from Florida. I've seen him compete on the local level many times, and he's done the nationals. He was 4th in the nationals last year. So I just talked to him, and he said he worked his legs tremendously hard all year long because he had to bring his legs up.
Yeah.
Didn't even touch his upper body until 3 months before the show.
Crazy.
And came in dialed in and was overwhelmed with the victory. So congratulations.
Lightweights was won by Boston, Mass. Jose Raymond's protege, Justin Randall. What you think of Justin?
Great. I mean, sort of real short guy, but real wide. And Jose told me he used to always compete as a middleweight.
Yes.
Would win overalls as a middleweight. So he dropped down to lightweight, and he was in condition, and yeah, he looked fantastic.
Yeah, Jose sent me pictures of him like 3 weeks out, and I said he's going to be hard to beat. And he came on the stage with the Jose Raymond WWE persona of like, you know what, I worked my ass off. It's nice to see that because a lot of people get nervous.
Yeah.
You know, he came on. I worked my ass off. I'm going to win this, and I think that plays into the decision making when it's close between
the nationals, right,
first
Chris?
and second.
You got to have that kind of attitude if you want to win the nationals.
Yeah, and it wasn't a face, a persona. It was belief in himself. So he pulls out that win. The middleweights, moving up to the middleweights, that was
Julius Rummigan from Florida, Florida resident. Yeah,
and muscle density in spades. I thought he had the. One of the densest looking bodies in the whole entire show. He just oozed of somebody who's been training for years and years, yet never aged.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
What did you like about, why'd you think they threw him into the first place?
Well, this guy's always had great shape, almost like a Danny Padilla type of physique. You know, he has that roundness, that fullness of the muscles. That's just genetic. You can't train for that. And he's always had that. I remember seeing him when I first moved to Florida in some shows, and he had it, but he was always off condition, and he couldn't win. He's very hard on himself. You know, he wants to be better, but now he finally dialed in with the right coach, and he really nailed his conditioning, and that was the missing ingredient. That's all he needed. So the light heavyweights was won by Derek Oslin, and was pushed really close, I thought, tonight by Kane Bishop.
Yeah, interestingly, Kane Bishop was really tight tonight. He was a little off in prejudging, extremely tight through the midsection, pec, shoulder, arm tie-in at night, a little soft from behind at the prejudging. And the winner,
Derek Oslin,
Derek Oslin, I thought was like significantly softer tonight than last night, which I almost couldn't find him in the lineup.
Yeah, I agree.
But what pulled it out for him in prejudging, I thought, was his squared look from here into a really strong taper. So when it hit front last spread, you'd see a lot of pop. Delts would pop and the midsection would be small. Front double would look bigger than it really is because the midsection was small and his arms had good peak.
Right.
Had nice shape to his thighs. Nothing overwhelming and massive thighs.
Right.
All the balance in the back double, not peeled out of his mind.
Yeah.
But it was a combination in prejudging that worked.
Mm-hmm.
Ironically, these are judged
2 days.
2 days in a row, and I'm not saying he's lucky to have won the class. I still probably had him winning the class, but he was definitely pushed this time.
Yeah. The second place guy was very good tonight, and really good posing routine. Almost reminded me of Sean Reyes.
Yes.
A little bit kind of posing. Very good. I mean, I think he'll make a good pro. Now the heavyweights we got to talk about because they rejudged it tonight, the top 5, and one guy moved up, and I believe that was Kirkland Thomas, who I think was in 4th. Looked like to be 4th.
Fifth,
and
fifth.
Didn't really even stand out yesterday.
I didn't see him. You know what? I paid attention to this class. I mean, some classes you pay more attention than others.
Yeah.
I just remember paying attention to this class and not remembering him in prejudging. So he didn't look that great. I definitely did not have him. You can see the wrap up from yesterday. First, nowhere near it. Definitely didn't have him second. Nowhere near it. When they brought the guys out, just to do their hi, this is where I'm from Texas, from Alabama. He stood out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
And everyone, Jose Raymond, me, you, Johnny Styles, we all looked at each other and said, did we miss this guy in prejudging? Judges didn't miss him because the guys didn't even do their posing routines at night. They rejudged the whole class.
Yeah.
So where do you think he ended up tonight? Because he eventually goes up against the overall winner.
Right. He ended up in second.
Yes.
But I mean, he was bigger, fuller, more vascular, darker.
Yeah.
More oil.
Yeah.
I mean, all of that made an unbelievable
Maybe
difference.
he did that 12-hour transformation on that video I saw today. Maybe he did it like 3 times in 36 hours. There was the crazy guy with the sodium, potassium. So he looked radically different tonight.
But he ends up taking second. I think.
Could you make the argument that he could have won?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know what?
Tonight for sure.
Bizarrely enough, I could make the argument that he could win tonight.
He won every shot.
Yeah,
when they were doing the mandatories.
I saw a judge who I know walking out, and I said, you guys must be exhausted. Martini talk. And then I said at the end, what about the black guy who came out of nowhere for the I didn't even see him in prejudging. He said, well, we rejudged it, and he told me it was really close.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that? I mean,
I think it was great they rejudged
yeah,
it, because he got the placing he deserved, and now he's a pro.
Yeah, I think possibly the winner, which we're going to talk about, he wins the overall, Sean Vasquez, stayed the same in the 2 days.
Yeah.
It just this, and that pulled it. If you're a judge and you say, okay, he's consistently very good both days. Yeah. But this guy just like leapfrogged, through the roof in 24 hours time.
Exactly.
He pulled like a. Who's done a big change? I mean,
the guy last year.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So Sean Vasquez goes on to beat him.
Yeah.
And we'll get to he wins the overall. What do you think of Sean Vasquez?
Very good. Great, really good structure, real wide back, and he was in condition. And I thought he won yesterday. So he was a good winner.
I had him winning yesterday. I thought he had a great thigh sweep. When he hits like the front double, he looks a lot bigger. Has a vacuum with a small waist.
Yeah.
His lats open up.
Yeah.
Good back width. Knows how to present what he had too.
Yeah.
He's got a good body. I wouldn't say the greatest on earth, but a very good body. But he knew how to present it better than all the other guys in the class, and never got tired in the mandatories because they work the ass. These guys, to the tilt in prejudging. So he never faded, and some of the other guys faded. And the other odd thing in that class is, for sure, without a doubt, the guys who I think I had second, third, and fourth, and the second day all faded.
Yeah.
And I hate that word faded because people throw it around and usually no one really fades.
Right.
But I thought they were all a little off compared to yesterday, while the winner stayed the same, and the guy who ends up second, took the big leapfrog.
Right, absolutely.
Next up in the super heavies, Dorian Haywood, kind of like a veteran, so to speak. He's been around the block for a while. Won the Junior Nationals in spectacular condition a few years ago.
Right.
Been knocking at the door. He was at the USA this past year. I think he ended up second. He went up against Rashid, which, freakazoid, destroyed the class.
Right.
So here comes Dorian. What do you think of Dorian's physique here tonight?
Good, but not great. I thought his conditioning was a little bit off, just like it was yesterday. But,
color was off, oddly.
Yeah. Looked like he straightened his hair up after Dave's criticism, so it looked like he oiled it down a little bit.
Second place, he beats out another kind of veteran, Joe Mackey, who Cody Montgomery reminds me. He said, wow, Joe Mackey, I competed against him when I was either 15 or 16, and I was a teenage crossover into the men's, and Joe won the men's somewhere in Texas.
Wow.
So that proves or shows that, the resilience of Joe Mackey still competing at this level. What do you think of Joe's physique?
He was very impressive. Some outstanding body parts, really good size, great shoulders. I was very impressed with him. I thought he was harder tonight because he impressed me more tonight than yesterday.
Could he have got the nod here?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah. I thought so too.
If they would have rejudged it, I think he could have.
I thought he was tighter tonight too, and had they rejudged it, he might have pulled that out.
Yep.
In the overall, comes down to all these guys, different strengths and weaknesses, height, weight. They end up the judges going with Sean Vasquez. What was your take on that?
I thought overall, he looked better. I thought Julius Rummigan, the middleweight, believe it or not, I thought he had a chance, but he didn't look good
at points.
He looked good posing, but not standing
in the
relaxed.
lineup. In the lineup, he looks very small. It's weird.
Yeah.
Weird. In the lineup, you say depleted out of his mind, and then you say no, he's not depleted. Flat, but he's not flat.
Right.
I just think out of all the great attributes that he has, the one big knock on him is he doesn't look impressive in the lineup.
Yeah.
But when he flexes, he's fine, very, 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 very good in all those.
Very detailed,
And I think that destroyed him in the lineup. You know what I mean? It's like
because that's the first impression when they first come out.
And when they stood everyone next to each other, and they stood him up there for a long period of time, your eyes never went to him.
Yeah.
And yet when he got into some of the shots, so I agree with you, John. I think that although he was kind of in the running, by default, Vasquez comes out.
Vasquez overall, I think, was a better physique.
Enough size to beat the super.
Yeah.
Enough condition to beat Julius.
And the light heavy.
And the light heavy, and he ends up in the winner circle. So congratulations to the winners of the Classic. and the overall winner of the men's bodybuilding, Chris Aceto with John Hansen at the NPC Nationals in Miami Beach, Florida. We'll see you next year in 2017.